So what I wish I would have known before I started was about the extent to which, as an individual, the spotlight was on me. I was really shocked the first time I saw the Ofsted report, and it literally was, talking about me and my performance and how I worked with my chief executive and other partners. And fortunately, in that case, it was all pretty positive, but I guess I kind of hadn't quite prepared myself for what does this feel like, really being in that position. And that took some learning and took some adapting for me as well. I suppose the other thing that I learned very quickly was just how important it is to not always assume you know the answer to the questions you're faced with, to be open to challenge, to be open to questioning, and to be open to listening to others. Defensiveness, particularly after a difficult inspection, is an absolute killer. You just have to be able to open yourself up to learning and to open yourself up to thinking differently and saying, actually, maybe we did get this wrong.
I didn't have the experience of the Aspirant DCS Programme, and actually a lot of the things that I've heard from colleagues who have had the Aspirant DCS Programme around thinking about sort of the landscape of politicians, the landscape of finance, as well as the areas that aren't my subject matter, that I don't have subject matter expertises in, so education, for instance. I think that knowledge base that's been built up through things like the Aspirant DCS Programme would have been really helpful. But I took a really deliberate step in applying and gaining the DCS position in the local authority that I'm in, because I absolutely thought that that was the right fit for me. So the question almost asks whether there are regrets, and I don't have any regrets. Obviously, the biggest question, or to my younger self, I might say, just be very mindful of what you're going in for, because it can become quite all-consuming. It's really important to keep pacing yourself and keep working on that life-work balance.
Good question. I think just some of that experience of holding the kind of corporate responsibilities, I think I'd have benefited from more shadowing of a DCS outside of the authority I was in, because I think it's difficult to kind of shadow somebody who's your boss. It kind of doesn't work in a way, because you haven't created the space to observe and learn. So I think that would be a tip that I would give, is spend more time getting out of your authority, and if you can find a DCS who's happy for you to come and shadow for a day or two and to talk to you about kind of the experience, I think that would be valuable.
And I think if I reflect back and think about anything I may have really liked to have known before I became a DCS, I do think it's that level of corporate responsibility. So I will sit in a meeting and we'll be talking about bins and waste policy, and you're thinking, well, what has that got to do with the DCS? But if you then think about children and young people, families where there are disabilities, the additional needs that then generates in terms of waste and waste management, I think every single aspect of what a council does has relevance for children. Children are the adults, it's a bit of a cliche, of tomorrow, but how do you help those children transition into adulthood? So again, for me, I think it's about the breadth of the role. I don't think you can fully understand that before, and that real need for political acumen, that ability to understand what the priorities and the agenda is for politicians. And I think I've grown into that, but that's certainly something I think I would have liked to have known more about, maybe develop my skills a little bit more before coming into the role.
I've turned this over in my mind, and I'm not sure that there is anything, because I think what I know now is quite scary for a would-be DCS, and it might have stopped me in my tracks, but actually, because I didn't know that, I didn't worry about it, and now I can look back and say, look at all those extraordinary things you did.